As is customary for the Blacklist, the four guns does not allude to actual guns. The four people who are this week's targets of Raymond Reddington's James Spader Blacklist are actually Ganefs, which is Yiddish for thieves. These pickpockets are not your typical thieves. After all, they behave as an apex predator throughout Senator Cynthia Panabaker's Deirdre Lovejoy re-election speech in the park, moving as a single organism of coordinated effort that skillfully manages to steal two guns, a radio, and a cell phone off of the two Secret Service men tasked with protecting Panabaker from dissidents. One of those Secret Service weapons was intended for Panabaker but accidentally struck one of her operatives in the shoulder. A Ganef is a cunning trickster, not a killer, who steals what belongs to someone else while avoiding detection at all costs and avoiding contact with flesh and blood. The wrath of divine justice is something the Ganef has no dread of. Given that the Blacklist invokes the Ganef, it is impossible to ignore its antagonist, the Gazlan, particularly given how prevalent they are in this episode. Senator Cynthia Panabaker delivers a fiery stump address at a re-election campaign event. A moody teenager in the throng is noticed by her Secret Service agents, but this only draws their attention away from the grimacing older man lurking nearby. After the address, the senator is ecstatic to see Cooper, Harry Lennox, in the audience when unexpected gunfire breaks out. The agents swiftly swarm after Cooper as he corrals the senator behind a pillar. Unfortunately, because someone managed to rob the Secret Service of their weapons and radios, they are essentially useless. The fact that one of them has been wounded doesn't help either. When Panabaker exclaims, "Harold, what just happened?" she advocates for the group as a whole. When we return from the credits, Cooper is being given a history tour of the 60th Street public bath by Red. Bathhouses were essential because early 20th century tenement dwellings frequently lacked plumbing. Red brings up Panabaker, which causes Cooper to forget about the unsettling development that Red is residing in the spider web structure. Red is obviously aware of the perpetrators. The four guns are the pickpockets, and their moniker is just as misleading as their methods. Red explains that these apex predators of theft are called after the Yiddish word for thief, Ganef, as we observe how they executed their well-coordinated heist. They're not aggressive, they're just excellent at what they do, which implies that the would-be assassin who engaged them is still alive. You are aware of what an assassination attempt entails? Try it again. It is expressly stated in the moniker. Cooper informs Malik, Dem, and Ressler about the four guns and their numerous heists, including one in which they stole from a prince by the name of Prince Eric, back at headquarters. Naturally, this implies that the Blacklist and the Little Mermaid take place in the same universe. As a result, I now want to write an episode about a Blacklister who steals the voices of her victims. Cooper sends his agents to search the crime scene while he checks on the senator because he thinks that locating the four will help him find the assassin. Despite her understandable shock, she quickly recovers to retaliate against Cooper's statement of gratitude for preventing him from going to jail last season. "Has the cheese completely slipped off your cracker?" she asks. She points out that Red threatened her and that she is not now interested in using his assistance. But Cooper persuades her to give in with just a genuine please from him. Then we get to interact with our real assassin for a while. He is receiving an enigmatic code from two people while seated at a desk in front of a massive upside-down American flag from two people who obviously have no interest in whatever the self-described patriot is up to. We learn two facts after they depart. He's been skillfully disguising himself while listening to a recording from the senator's office. Whatever Panabaker is doing in private, we are cut off before finding out, but the patriot is grinning. Red is cheering up an antiquarian by giving her a first copy of Nicolaus Copernicus's 1543 book Heavenly Spheres in a rare bookshop close to the Flatiron Building. Red desires a trade in exchange for her offer of $1.2 million from her personal stockpile. Victorian books that were virtually doused in arsenic and thus very attractive and fairly lethal are included in the collection. Each has a covering to shield the book from damage. Whom does Red give this to, then? Will there be no cover, too? Robert Vesco would be in that. And sure, the ultimate foe was last seen being apprehended by Demb in the SPK, but now he's receiving a first edition Oliver Twist delivered to prison. The poison is the surprise. Vesco starts to gasp for oxygen in a later scene, and I gasped along with him because he was still only halfway through the book. "Reddington, that cruel person you are." Red invites my beloved stay-at-home criminal dad Herbie because our team has discovered a partial thumbprint on one of the abandoned radios, Alex Brightman. Herbie doesn't mind that it's only a partial because he's just glad to be conversing with an adult about something other than infant poop. Herbie starts working while Red assumes the caretaker role. Quentin Dodd, Jacob Pitts, has been named as one of the 4 by Red and Herbie, who have once more completed the task that the FBI can't seem to complete. The task force reviews his crime history and discovers his weakness. He enjoys wearing very pricey watches. Fortunately, there is a watch sale going on. Dodd, also known as the Hook, the Mechanic, and the Claw, is captured after placing a small amount of lure on Wrestler's wrist. Dodd is questioned by Demb and Wrestler, who find him to be unflappable and with an apparent grasp of the nuances of the laws governing theft and DNA transmission. Additionally, he won't speak to police, so the FBI is compelled to let him go. And Red quickly snatches him up. Red asks Dodd to show off his observational abilities. When his research leads him to the conclusion that Red's eyes reveal a life lived too long with little left to lose, he goes into more risky territory after finding the flip phone and several weapons on the first attempt. Red's steely gaze supports this conclusion, but Dodd won't identify the shooter until Teddy Kaluka, a resident torture specialist, enters the room and begins outlining various methods for amputating a hand. Dodd, fortunately, gives in and divulges a location. The task force doesn't locate the assassin, but they do catch a glimpse of him in a photograph with disgraced former President Robert Diaz, along with a number of handwritten manifestos and a mountain of disguise materials. It is sufficient to recognize him as Lucas Roth, a former Secret Service agent. Panabaker would rather be truly deceased than to participate in the scheduled debate, despite Cooper's best efforts to persuade her otherwise. Roth has just arrived, so that will be put to the test. Roth puts together a toy pistol and pulls the fire alarm because he is as familiar with Secret Service protocol as he is with fake mustaches. Our team takes some time to work out what is going on, and by the time they do, Roth has already taken the senator and her agent. Roth addresses Agent Will Strickland by name in a theater underground room. In a further twist, his erstwhile colleague is the one he is after, not the senator. In order to influence the outcome of the election, Strickland installed the bug in Panabaker's workplace and was providing information to her rival. Strickland must make amends for his treachery, says Roth, who appears to have let all of his cheese fall off his cracker. However, the senator had brought a pistol to this gunfight, so by the time Cooper and Wrestler arrived, Roth was already down and Strickland had been taken into custody. Vesco was recuperating in the hospital after his near-death book club, so Red devoted this time hiring the 4 guns to free him. Red persuades Vesco that independence was worth the arsenic when he is snarky about the poisoning. Red gives Vesco a duplicate of Treasure Island as the two board the aircraft. Vesco is being shrewd by refusing to engage in either literal or metaphorical discussion of that, but I believe we can all agree that a treasure search is in their near future. Red is probably putting Herbie, the 4 guns, and Vesco together in preparation for the impending conflict with Wudging. I don't know what he has in mind for these people or their skills, but I do know we'll find out in the following 7 episodes.